Welcome to another Hope, Power, in Healthcare with Chris Hemphill and
Melissa Riley, the very tired Melissa Riley.
Melissa. Tired?
Yeah, I
What?
know.
Melissa, no way. You're usually the caffeine on these calls and things like that. What could you possibly be tired from doing? Come on, Melissa. What's going on?
Because I'm working on a special project. I don't really know how deep I can share it because my other business partner um, really wants to announce it. But let me just tease it and I'll say the way that I'm thinking about this, it's another evolution of the Stealth brand, one that puts like a more on the ground presence for Stealth. Like right now, Stealth is very virtual and has partners all over the place, but it like definitely gives Stealth an anchor. Um, and I think it's this perfect combination of all these elements of my career pathways in terms of real estate and events and helping entrepreneurs. And it's this really nice amalgamation of all of that.
On the ground. That is so important right now to go beyond virtual. Just because I think that there's a whole lot being lost in trying to appify all the things, and I can't wait for you to highlight this newer business that's going to be in person on the ground because what a theme of my life over the past few weeks has been how do we do the most for in-person connections, and I can't wait to hear more about what you're enabling through that. I know that you want to keep it stealthy for now, but you got to share. You got to share.
Yeah.
Like we talk about apps and machine learning and AI and stuff like that all the time. Let's talk more on the ground stuff.
For sure. And, I guess I apologize a little bit for, my lower level energy this past week. But as I was trying to get this thing to happen, there was like the lemony snicket of series of unfortunate events. And literally everything that could go wrong with this deal, this process absolutely went wrong. We made it through. But I think the only way we made it through was by I probably could have slept more, but I felt like I had such nervous energy around it. And what I realized, especially now in my, Virgo season year of 43, I'll just put that out there, that I need the sleep.
Happy birthday,
Oh,
September
happy
16th.
birthday to
Happy
us
birthday.
this month. But definitely, I need my sleep in, I cannot do the late nights, the all-nighters in the way that I used to just be able to rally. Like I was toast. And so I've basically been like randomly sleeping. It feels like I almost traveled and I didn't travel. Um, but it feels like massive jet lag. And it could be allergies, I don't know, all the things. But I'm super excited to like go to bed at 9 o'clock the next couple nights.
Good, good. Yeah. Reminder, Crystal Brown, what was that? Episode 5, the rest is just as important as the work.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I definitely push the limits on pushing too hard, as I know a lot of our innovators do, and now I'm paying for it. Um, as you see, like
Mm,
not the Celsius, but I'm back to the OG, the Diet Coke to get me through.
good stuff. Good stuff. Lots of Celsius in my life, and this is just a cold brew. And I honestly, half the reason I'm drinking it right now is just because Shay got this mug and I thought it was really cool, so I wanted to steal it and use it on camera.
I am very happy to continue our conversation. I want to hear about you crisscrossing the country and why, and all of your special events. And I will say, I have one thing that is keeping me going, right? In this, like, I definitely feel like we have some of the coolest best friends in healthcare
It
because
sure is.
because when I think of all like the magical things that continue to happen, or even if I'm wildly tired, there's like so many people that are willing to like come and help, So they'll be like, oh, let me help you make your day better. And one of the coolest things that happened to me this week is I've been looking, and we talk about this in pop culture, I've been looking at systems to make myself more efficient, right? And one of these new systems, my friend made me two GPTs. So this one GPT helps me pick out my outfits for all the things I have to go to. Like he literally made me share from Clueless's like GPT. It is so awesome. I'll have to send it to you or post it out because it's amazing. And the other thing is a day planner. So Chris, if you had my day planner, this is what made me thought about it. you could probably map your US route and what times you should be at things because this GPT works so awesomely. And like you can upload a picture of your calendar and it can fit things into your calendar and tell you when to do things. So, Alyssa, we are like redoing our life with the planner GPT. It is so cool.
That's 100% stunning and gorgeous to hear on multiple levels. Sad face to my friends at Stitch Fix, I guess, if they're developing algorithms for suggesting clothes, but there's other ways that people can do it now.
Do
Uh,
you Stitch Fix, Chris? I was a huge Stitch Fix fan for a really long time until I ended up at a conference wearing the exact same thing as this other lady. Like this was this blue dress with this white top. We both looked at each other and we went, Stitch Fix? And we laughed, right? And so I was like, oh, they're dressing me like everyone else.
no, maybe you're all algorithm buddies. Maybe there's something deeper about the connection that y'all have that Stitch Fix uniquely recommended y'all the same outfit. But I don't Stitch Fix personally. I'm on the ground. Like we're keeping on our on the ground theme. There's a couple of places in Atlanta that I like to go, and up here in Detroit, there's a lot like this is the home of Carhartt, and Carhartt trains a lot of designers and people on how to start their own businesses and launch their own things.
Does it
So
really?
yes, Carhartt's an amazing company. Um,
Oh,
so we have something weekly called the Eastern Market, where it's kind of like a big flea market where people are selling their goods and items that they've made or vegetables and food stuff like that. And there are like if you want like some really cool clothes that are very uniquely Detroit, and you don't want to pay more than like $50 or $60 for a shirt or something like that, like it's great to walk around Eastern Market and just see people that like maybe they're going to have their name on the side of the building one day, but at this time they're at a flea market selling really cool, unique designs and stuff like that. So uh, keeping it on the ground with that stuff.
yeah. And then speaking of names on buildings, um, when I was talking about like all the people in healthcare like really rally to be supportive, my other friend just helped us design our stealth logos this week. So Alyssa and I got to look at what stealth could look like if it ever got to the size that it could be up on top of a building. And that was just such a joyful, amazing moment to see like the things that you're building, um, start to like feel like a real grown-up company.
I want to see it in the airport. I can't wait to be about to board my flight and see that stealth logo up there, letting people know where they can come for that guidance in healthcare strategy.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it really stealthy. So, like, will stealth actually be on a building? You'll have to wait to find out. But I definitely am giving you a t-shirt, Chris, as soon as we land on our final logo
Are we gonna have
positioning.
T-shirts by the time for behavioral health tech?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes,
Oh
we
shoot!
will.
Do you think we should think about Hope Power and Healthcare T-shirts?
Um, I was thinking like I wish we could get the Hope Power and Healthcare logo onto the into the process somehow. I bet we could.
Okay, okay. Well, we'll take that offline and figure that out, and maybe y'all can sport some gear if you're gonna be out in San Diego in November.
Yeah, I think the only gear I want to sport right now is like a pillow. I love
Same
sleep.
here. I think you were talking about jet lag a little bit earlier. I think I might be suffering from drive lag.
I love
Uh,
drive lag. I'm gonna use that.
it was from Detroit to Nashville to Atlanta, all the way down to Mobile, because I basically was just making a southern tour and wanted to have my car while I was in my towns and seeing my peoples and things like that. But then something crazy happened while I was in Mobile. But that's where I was visiting my parents. But got a call to go to to Washington D.C. and it was to speak with this convening well to speak at the Congressional Black Caucus. The Congressional Black Caucus happened this week. We're recording on September
Chris,
28th.
can I just be a like totally um a space cadet just for a moment? It's probably my tiredness. Can you unpack what the Congressional Black Caucus is for me? I should
You
know
want
this, but I don't. Like, what is it?
well the Congressional Black Caucus is there's it's a nonpartisan group of black senators. It was established in 1971, and what they're focused on is advocacy and policy that helps serve the underserved and advances issues around health equity in general. Again, I always think of things through this healthcare lens, but it's really about overall advocacy for minorities and establishing representation voting blocks. But what they do every
They
year,
must be really concerned right now.
extremely, extremely. And that's why. So I'm in Mobile, Alabama, and I have in order to get to Mobile, in order to get to D.C., which they needed someone to speak on AI and health equity, like in less than 7 days
And
when I got the call.
did they offer to fly you in? Oh, they can't. It's the government, right? So it's not like
They did, yeah. They did offer to, yeah. So
yeah.
they did fly me in, but I had to go back to Detroit to get my things and be able to be ready. Uh,
Did
so
you wear a
I,
congressional suit? Like, what did you wear? Do you need my chat GPT on what to wear? Like, what do you even wear when Washington calls you?
I asked them that question. I said, "Hey, what's the vibes?" And
I'm like, what should I wear? Chris is like, what's the vibes?
yeah,
Tell me the
yeah.
vibes.
I like to find the rules out so I can break the right ones. But yeah, it's just straight up. Here's what I did. I drove back to Atlanta to get fitted up because
You're making me tireder.
I'm like, if I'm going to the CBC and representing my peoples, I gotta look the part. So I went to Bill Hallman in Atlanta. That's a store there. They were actually featured in Queer Eye a few years ago. I didn't find that out until after I started shopping there. But I'm like, okay, if they've made it to Queer Eye, then this is the place. So anytime I want to you know dress to impress, Bill Hallman in Atlanta, shout out to them. They like you
It's
tell
a men's
them
store. It's a men's store. Do they dress women too?
it's an everybody store. It's an everybody store.
Oh,
So yeah,
sorry. Okay.
it's cool. It's cool. Uh, but yeah, yeah, I'll show you whenever you come to Atlanta.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. So actually, this cardigan that I'm wearing right now, this is
Oh,
from
I
that
like
haul.
that.
Yeah, I just wanted to go kind
This is
of
barley. Did you? Yeah, it's barley. I love barley. It's like
Varley.
barley. Have you seen barley? Yeah.
No, but I like that zipper. I like that look, and you're doing it right with that necklace there too. So that's cool. Alyssa, make sure to zoom in on that.
Okay. So, anyways,
So
outfits aside, yes,
yeah,
you're looking the
outfit.
part.
Yeah,
Okay.
get fitted up, get suited up. They took care of me, and then it's back to Detroit, fly to DC, and got to tell y'all, when we started this podcast, it was about don't gatekeep yourself. Hey, there might be like the hope, power, and healthcare concept was specifically because of all of the horrible things going on at that either like funding is tight. There's moves against health equity and the types of things that mission driven founders are really concerned with. But this event was a big reverse to all that. I have to shout out to the NAACP. Uh, Dr. Tony Price. Dr. Tony Price was kind of the glue, and his team with uh, Dr. Chris Purnell and Jasmine Udell. What they did was they organized this event that was specifically about the role that AI can play in healthcare. But it was put on by by the Congressional Black Caucus and the NAACP, which is the national advancement. Let me get the right acronym. I'm sorry. Association. That was the word that was missing. So this was an event put on by the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and the Congressional Black Caucus at the same time. what was really powerful about the event was seeing the president of the NAACP and a packed house. It was a full audience, all dedicated to going way beyond the surface level stuff in how minorities, black communities, and things like that can be involved in understanding artificial intelligence in healthcare and how it uniquely impacts our communities, but also building. There
What did
is a.
what did
Oh,
you
go ahead.
talk on, Chris? What was the point of your talk?
It was specifically about that. It was
Okay, so
so.
give me a tip. Explain like one of the things that you would say.
Well, let me frame it up,
Oh,
because
okay.
it wasn't just me on the stage. It
Yeah.
was um, it, it it was a panel that I think was assembled of the right people. So you had this Dr. Chris Purnell, who she's a physician, and she was talking about like the big theme that she had. Like she made me think about don't gatekeep yourself, because she talked about how her father, who didn't have a college degree, was actually like he was mowing the lawn at Bell Labs at the start of his career, and at the height of his career, he was actually leading the team that created call waiting and caller ID.
Oh, that gave me
So
goosebumps. Right? That gave
yes,
me such goosebumps. Oh,
and I she didn't know this at the time, but I was like in the audience recording it, and I recording her section. And if you're following me on LinkedIn, you can go and actually find that talk that she gave. But then the panel that I was on, it was myself. It was Tanisha. Oh, sorry, I'm. There was one name.
this is the drive lag.
Yes, this is Drive Lag combined with Hype. All right, so the panel, that was myself. It was Tanisha Sullivan, who leads health equity initiatives at a pharmaceutical company called Sanofi. It
I know
was
Sanofi. Hmm.
okay, great, and sure a lot of our audience would know too. And there's reasons that you should know that I'll get into. It was Dr. Craig Watkins, who is he's a professor studying deeply on the societal impacts of AI at the University of Texas. Dr. Nicole Turner Lee, who works at the Brookings Institute. It was
Hmm. I know
was
Brookings. Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it was
You
just
are in good company,
it
Chris.
was stacked. It was stacked, and they were just really focused on like especially from Dr. Craig on how we can on like mobilizing community resources to teach about AI and helping for minority and underserved youth and things like that to have these deeper perspectives, but also informing the broad audience of healthcare leaders, growers, developers. Basically, it was about, hey, the NAACP, they're looking at this technology, and they're saying that, hey, we don't want to be left behind, and we want to find the avenues and ways that we can recenter from this stuff being focused on all these advertisers and the Googles of the world, and I'm going to use my term, reclaim the algorithm, so that we can focus it on the health equity issues and concerns that are important to us.
And Chris, do you feel personally like certain populations, like the African American population, are currently being left behind in in these conversations? Um, I don't know that I've specifically spent a ton of time thinking about like how do the underserved or the underrepresented represented represented, sorry, delete all that out too, experience ChatGPT. I think I only know from my little bubble, and I watch some people that like are all in it, and then other people like my mom, who's like, it's like she discovered water. But once she like plays in it, once she first principles in it, right, like the Medicare, eligible, she was like, oh, I don't want to touch that ChatGPT thing. But once she realizes how great it is, she's got a name for him. She calls him Mr. Chat, and she's like, I put it into my bestie Mr. Chat, and this is what I learned today. And I was like, oh my god, mom, slow down on the algorithm. But are populations being left behind, and why?
Yes, yeah. So one of the names that I mentioned, Dr. Nicole Turner Lee at the Brookings Institute, she's actually written a book on this, and it's called Digitally Invisible. And
Ooh, I want to read
yeah,
it.
let's highlight that. Let's
Book
highlight that. I
club.
want to, yeah, book club.
Yeah.
That's yeah. We have a book club. We have a book club in our chat. Yeah, let's open up a book club for that. In the Discord. Um, but what sparked that book was a friend of hers asked, "Hey, if your mom had been around while we have all this like all this AI, all these machine learning tools and things like that that help identify what people's needs are and like how, what preventive use cases or interventional use cases we should identify. If your mom had been around for during all that time, do you think that she would have been able to have had her issues addressed before she passed away?" And her answer was no. And that struck me in the heart when she said that, because I could immediately remember and recall why her answer was no, because like um, whenever I was at when it was at I was at a previous company that was identifying and developing machine learning approaches to identify who's at risk for what particular illnesses and things like that. And like we thought that we were performing extremely well. Like we looked at these high level metrics that said, hey, this type of accuracy score is above 80%. So we thought we were doing well, but then we broke it down by how the algorithm performed across race, like dividing race into subgroups,
Mm-hmm.
and then the intersection of race and gender. And we found that those metrics that we were seeing at the high level were covering up problems beneath the surface.
Did you
So
tease into why?
yeah, so the algorithms, these were based on um, encounter data
Mm-hmm.
based on electronic medical records within health systems. So what we learned from that is that there's a real impact from the fact that what you're looking at in a healthcare data set is not just it's not reflecting reality. It's reflecting reality for people that were able to come in and be
Yeah.
seen.
The
They were able
engagement.
to afford it, yeah, so they were able to afford it, or they had a cultural predisposition to it.
Implicit
Uh,
implicit bias. What, there's a bias in there, right? What's it's I probably have it wrong, right?
I I would say I would say it like this. I would say it like this. Like most developers and data scientists that I know are not developing with the intent to leave out communities and to harm communities.
Correct.
But
But
that yeah, we have redlining, we have a history of injustice and things like that, and those get reflected in the data.
yeah.
If the economic realities for groups of people meant that they weren't going to be seen, or like we've been talking about implicit or even explicit biases on behalf of clinicians, well, whatever happens in those events and those encounters, that's going to reflect
It's
all of those
represented
biases that come.
in the data.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it that's what that's the power that comes from the NAACP and the CBC focusing on this thing, is saying, hey, while these things are being developed, we want to make sure that we have representation at the tables where these are being built, at the tables where people are deciding where the funding goes and where decisions are made on behalf of communities. Because if we're not at that table, then people aren't going to ask those questions on how the algorithm impacts our communities. So
Or does it mean as the algorithm is running, there has to be additional solves for things like, hey, a lack of access, a lack of time to make it to appointments, right? Otherwise, it's if it's being trained on data, but the data is incomplete because it doesn't actually have a representative sample of humans that should be supported, then how do you go and get that representation? It's almost like you need representation in Congress and you need representation in the algorithms too.
yes, yes, you need because we can't sit around waiting for the data to become perfect, because that means that society and the economy and everything like that has shifted so
And
that
we know we're
everybody
not
has
in
an equal
that.
playing
We
field.
are
We're
living in the imperfect society at the
yeah,
moment.
yeah. So we got to for the builders out there and the health equity focused folks out there, we have to figure out how we work within imperfect systems. I can link to an article that I wrote for Stat News a few years ago about, hey, we encountered that extremely biased data set. We encountered those problems, and we worked together with the team. Shout out Joe Schmid, shout out Ling Hong, Meili Osbeck, the others on the data science team, because we rallied together, connected in University of Chicago as well to like be a third party evaluator to this thing, but identified, okay, we have this problem with bias. Do we stick our heads in the sand and pretend that it's not there and pretend that we're all geniuses because we know machine learning, or do we figure this thing out and like develop algorithms that are not leaving people in that digitally invisible category that Dr. Nicole.
I'm feeling very vapid as I'm building algorithms for outfits and you're building algorithms for better representation across the US. That's pretty
Hey,
awesome.
it's all like the concept of reclaim the algorithm is we can do like we have all kinds of things that we can do with it. So yes, build those outfits, and yes, also folks, think about the representation and inclusion while developing the systems within healthcare. It's all valid.
Chris, give us like two examples of some salient points that you made in your talk. Like what points were you most proud about sharing?
The one that I was most proud about was after when Nicole brought up digitally invisible and the fact that her mother wouldn't have been seen, I was almost crying. And the way I opened up my talk was I said, Lucille Niles, 1927 to 2023. That's my grandmother, and that's who I had in my mind when bringing up those issues around racial bias with the data science team back at that previous company and great team that I was working with. And the major thing is I wanted people to leave just empowered to ask questions and hold vendors accountable as they're building these things, because a lot of people will look at chat gpt or look at the algorithms that are being presented by these vendors and things like that and think that they have just no sway in it because the people who are developing them are so smart and so steeped in math that okay, that they've got the right answer. But no, there are questions that a lot of these organizations aren't asking. You can stand up, hold the vendors accountable. I can use an example outside of the work that our data science team did. UCSF, I like bringing this one up because Epic had developed this algorithm to predict how likely patients were to have sepsis. And UCSF asked a very similar question. Well, how does it work at the intersection of race and gender? And at the time, they didn't have an answer to that question. And UCSF sent them back to the drawing board with their algorithm to figure that stuff out, refocus the efforts and things like that, and start answering the question and driving towards a more equitable solution. So that's the main takeaway, because everybody there wasn't like building in Python or anything like that. It was more of a policy and healthcare leadership audience, and I just want people to know that there are like that you can ask the hard questions. You can hold vendors accountable, and they will respond. I told them if a vendor is not wanting to disclose details about how their algorithms make decisions because it's proprietary, I told them, say, hey, well, our dollars are proprietary too, in so many
Mm.
words. But ultimately, I just wanted to get people to feel more power when it comes to the using these algorithms and tools to address health equity concerns.
That's so interesting. As a vendor manager, I have seen a lot of people come in with proprietary algorithms, but then I've also seen clinical teams um, be able to sit down and kind of interrogate those algorithms. So you're saying like a couple like key tips for our innovators, maybe the vendor managers or the vendees, is like have the expectation that there can be a clinical review of your algorithm. I'm imagining that's what NDAs are for, right? And then um, be prepared to understand or share how your algorithm treats a total population and not just a subset of a population or not just a commercially oriented population.
Yes, yes. It's coming up more in RFPs too. Like whenever we were working on that tech, in 2020, 2021, I had not seen an RFP from a health system that brought up issues around health equity and responsible AI. But now it's coming more and more into the fold. The people that I've been talking to have been seeing that more on the plate. So that's two lessons. Is for, hey, clinical teams and purchasers and things like that, you can ask the harder questions, and other people are doing it. If you're not, just know that other people are doing it. And on the vendor side, when it comes to that, like when a clinician is interrogating your algorithm, a lot of what they're going to be looking for is understanding how that decision was made. And people take it the wrong way. They take it as like being under attack and this person's a sniper trying to cut my deal out. But if you put yourself in the clinician's shoes, these are the people that have the most skin in the game in case something goes wrong or there's some kind of miss or some kind of wrong suggestion that's made. So their input is gold or maybe even platinum because they're going to have they're going to have the strongest reaction, and they're going to do the most to make sure that you're operating at the highest level. So for the vendors and builders out there, I would lean towards transparency and explainability in these approaches rather than like completely opaque algorithms that that there's just no path of accountability or understandability or communication if something goes off the rails.
Yeah, and I do think when we think about our mission to help innovation live, even from a stealth lens, this is one of the places where you get caught in that translation layer or where things start to stall, is because this new thing does not compute into the processes of onboarding innovation inside payers. And I think both the financial misalignment potentially and the process misalignment is where you see like groups like your previous company and my previous startup that I was at. It was a very long path to market. Like if I think about digital diagnostics, and they don't mind me sharing this because it was like, kind of my experience, we definitely struggled with reimbursement committee. Just this was a new code, right? So they had a novel CPT code for their autonomous algorithm. There were people out there that didn't even understand what an autonomous algorithm was, right? And so we had to sit and start explaining things like, hey, this algorithm takes the place of the clinician, but don't worry, the clinicians are okay with it because this allows them to go do high value add work, right? So you're going to now see more people get screened for something like diabetic retinopathy. And you basically, going back to our talk on systems, though you had to kind of appease the entire system of review and then show how this new innovation was not breaking the system or maybe upsetting other partners who previously could have made money for doing the service the algorithm could now do.
Major, yeah, major. Because the way that you're communicating it is that it's not just about somebody taking an algorithm and saying, "Hey, I've made this prediction and it's super accurate," but it's about how these systems are being used and how it impacts workflows and people that are involved. So it does elevate the conversation, and it's something that really we should be urging our fam to think about is not just AI tools themselves, but how do you like with these long sales cycles and things like that, how do we get prepared to talk about the workflow changes and the actual implementation and things that happen on the ground, the stuff that's really going on the ground, on the ground. Yeah.
Drive lag. Our systems have drive lag. We have connected all of the dots, right?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
That
But yeah,
Yeah, like I do think it's interesting because like the pace of innovation is moving much faster than the pace of a lot of the processes. And that means we're getting like traffic jams in the system. And then going back to where you really spent your week, which is just so incredible. Like I think there's probably some people that naturally can drive through the systems better than others. And there's a ton of people that like are sitting on the edge of the highway trying to get into the cars just because of the way that, representation works on these highways.
and let's bring some humility into the fold too. Like many, like I can be humble sometimes, and the thing that I want to be very humble about is that just because I program in machine learning and stuff like that doesn't mean that I have the answers to everything, most things, or many things. I have the answers on one part of the domain, but it's part of a broader picture. And when we're thinking about these AI algorithms, we have to think about acknowledging our own limitations, not coming into these conversations with hospitals thinking like there's so many startups out there that say, hey, we're going to transform healthcare and things like that, but it's off-putting if there hasn't been that thought of the actual clinician experience and the actual things going on the ground. So the work that I do is only good if like let's use Wobot for an example. Fun working on natural language processing and things like that, and I was bringing some things to the table, but it wouldn't have any meaning if I didn't have those partners like Dr. Trina Histon, Dr. Athena Robinson, and things like that, who were steeped in the clinical psychology and research and things like that. So we have to use the village.
Yeah, it is so interesting. I do think like the capital, the currency, the demand for data scientists are up, right? And I think one of the things that I've seen a lot with data scientists, you're a little bit of a unicorn, is a lot of times you have to have a translation layer for the data scientist, right? To be able to like pull it to all ends of the spectrum, including like salespeople. Like I'm not a salesperson, but I play one on TV a lot, right? Like the difference between a salesperson and a data scientist could be pretty far, right? And so how do you translate the deep data scientist science into a way that makes sense so that people like my mom, who's pretty smart in her own right, can pick up what is now that new innovation and leverage it, you know? And then if you think about all the people that aren't as intellectually curious as we may be, how do you really simplify it and make it so easy and so tangible that everyone understands what the thing is? I think that's the hardest part in healthcare right now. It's like the speed and the changes and just reimbursement. They all just don't naturally click into each other. And so you get these breaks all the time and, things evolve and people don't know how to pick up that evolution.
People talking past each other too, right? Like we avoided that a little bit earlier because I was really excited about this new algorithm, this new approach to predict disease and medical events and things like that. But if I was to go in and just have a conversation about that without knowing what the goals and the economic model of a client is, then I could end up just talking past them and just not having any kind of meaning. So it's all about you have these core things and the way they work, but you always like the people that you're talking about that need those translation layers. I think a lot of the time is because they haven't sat down and thought about what actually matters to their audience.
Well, it's funny. Let's go meta for a moment. Okay, so you pinged me this article, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know that anyone's going to want to talk about this article. How can we make this interesting? Right. And so then I read the article, and I was like, okay, he's never wrong. This is a very interesting article. And as we think about like our fan base and our innovators, I was like, all right, yes, they could go out and kind of read this article, but like what hot take, and I know we do know hot takes, but like what take would be really most interesting to all of our people out there that are trying to either make the world a better place or just get through the day or advance their technology. And I was starting to think, I was like, one of the things that really resonated with me inside this space is more of like the how do you make it happen angle, right? So what I loved about the article that we looked through, and we'll post
Well,
it up.
let me define that. All
Yeah.
right, so just so people are caught up. Dr. Eric Topal. He's the author of Deep Medicine. He's a cardiologist and one of the people that one of like I emphasize he's a cardiologist who's excited about AI in healthcare because you have your detractors, you have your people that are hype demons and stuff like that. Well, you also have people like Dr. Topal who examine these algorithms and things like that from a medical lens. So it's something that he put out that's related to this Nature magazine publication about a new way to predict illnesses and major medical events. Just wanted to throw that out because he had some excitement about it. So just leveling with the audience. You can find the link in the comments.
Yeah. And so, okay, so the pieces that I kind of looked at is like, how often do we think of the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary categories of medicine? And I would say, like, as more of a sales or go to market person, we don't overtly think about these four substrata at all. What we think about actually is um, what things are going to get paid for, right? So if you're out there and a salesperson and you meet this new company, you're like, should I become a salesperson for that company? Oftentimes you want to understand, like, what's the TAM, SAM, SOM? Like, how many people are actually struggling for this? And then, like, who wants to pay for it? And so one of the things that I think we haven't spent enough time talking about, that this article kind of backdoors into a little bit, is that healthcare doesn't really pay for prevention, Chris. It doesn't. We're the way the reimbursement system is actually set up, we pay for sick care. We're a sick care system with our fee for service, and we're all been trying to move to value based so we can get to a space where prevention is actually worth it. But right now, I mean, I was talking about this even this past week, like, how do you quantify the fact that the thing that I gave you is going to help you in 10 years avoid paying for something? There's not a great, like, algorithm data set on this. And so, I think that's just a paradigm shift, that, like, we want to pay for prevention. But the article makes a really excellent point, and I'll probably murder it in the wrong way, that,
Murder it.
like, it's making this point that, like, that is not where the focus is. Like, we're coming in way too late. And the examples that they gave that really resonated with me is something like, in this heart attack space, like, there's not a ton of, and think about it, like Emily Brown, who we had on the show, right, of Attain Health, right? There is now some codes that pay for preventative food as medicine. But really, you're waiting until you're in the tertiary, like, or the quaternary, when you're literally, like, having a heart attack, is when our system picks up.
So yeah, powerful point. And now I think you're getting a little bit of why I was so ridiculously excited about the approach. So to kind of visualize the approach, think about a timeline. Like, think about someone's life as a timeline of various medical events. Like, there, there's interspersed, there were a bunch of primary care visits, but there's also certain diagnoses, certain injuries, and things like that. And the things that happen early on have an impact, or the things that are detected early on have an impact on things that happen in a later space. A
In the
lot of
payment integrity space, we would call this prospective payment versus retrospective payment. Again, I'm going to keep orienting towards the money, because, like, that is what I do. But you could
Mhm.
you could do it like prospective detection, things you find earlier, like things that are leading indicators versus, like, you're in the thing.
See, you orienting towards the money helps me learn the better way to talk about it, because if before, a lot of the companies, these predictive analytics firms, to identify what illnesses people might be likely to come up with, they would develop these algorithms that would identify who is most likely to have a need around cardiology or what have you in the next year. And they were pretty good at identifying that level of risk. But this new approach is based on the same kind of technology, the same kind of transformer architecture that powers large language models, but it's powered by an entirely different data set. This approach was taking data from about 400,000 patients in the UK Biobank, and without getting into a whole lot of detail, we can pretend that looks pretty similar to EHR data. And what they were able to do was develop a system to a pretty reasonable level of accuracy, that if I were to feed it in a couple of years of electronic medical record history, then it could come out with a prediction of, well, this event might happen within 5 years. Then you might be seeing for this in 17 years, etc. So that's the baseline of what the algorithm was doing itself. Actually, we were just talking about explainability, transparency, and things like that. That's a really heavy focus that the authors of this paper had when developing it. So for those who really want to look at and see how effective transparency and explainability and algorithms is done, click that Dr. Topal link. It's gonna it'll when you go into the deeper paper, it provides a great blueprint for that. But what this overall does is like that model where it was disease by these teams where they're having to develop bespoke models for each of these things. Now this thing is tuned to work across over 1,000 ICD-10 diagnosis codes.
Which will be fantastic because we all know that people are not just a heart attack, right? Like we are made up of complex comorbidities. And therefore, we cannot look at people as one disease state because they're multiple disease states all happening at once.
Exactly that. And with this, so another big thing to emphasize here is that this is open source technology. They released the like all of the code and everything like that to design and run these algorithms, or to train to train your own predictive models and stuff like that. That's available as code that developer teams, data scientists can interact with and use for their own purposes. So one thing to think about from this prospective this prospective concept that Melissa was bringing up is, well, if we see that this person had like there's a pathway that we're identifying in this data, what if we were to get this person to come in for XYZ preventive measure, or what if they have this accident at this time, etc. Not only do you have like the prediction of what's most likely to happen, you can start teasing out and simulating other events based on what could happen. So it starts being able to like that starts helping to justify, well, if we were to if we reached out to this many people and they came in for this particular screening, how would that bend the overall cost curve for our members over time? So it just opens up like it's a more powerful way to predict, but it's also a more powerful way to run simulations and start validating and exploring population health initiatives and opportunities.
So, and I think I have a bias in it when I hear all this a little bit. Like, this does not feel too foreign to me because when I was with Optum and Optum Insight, they had their database, which was the natural history of disease. I don't think the algorithm was quite made up on this. I did transparently think it was their data over 20 years across all zip codes that they were kind of leveraging. I would be wildly interested to see what Insight is doing now with that set of data, with the United data de-identified and some algorithms. I think they might be able to predict some really fascinating things. But spiritually, I think we're very aligned on this idea that like the data of the past can be leveraged in ways to see like where people could or could land if not intervened upon. And I think our biggest challenges right now is like, well, what interventions are going to work to change, what the data would predict will happen to them, which I know is a mouthful.
But it's the right mouthful because that's exactly the point. That like if this was released as some startup saying, "Hey, we can do this," yada yada yada, but they were keeping the algorithm under lock and key and everything like that, it wouldn't have made it to this episode. The reason why this is exciting is because now Optum can take that same approach, and they can take that 20 years of data and start using it to tease out their own scenarios and situations and simulations, and start looking at what they can be doing from a population health and cost impact scenario analysis. Like the Insight team now has that power.
Yeah, I just think we're all struggling with we have all this unfound power. Like my outfits are never going to be better than what they will be now with the ability to use my share algorithm. But like what are we going to do with it? Like how do we make it real, and like what companies are going to be the first to help us make it real? That's going to be really exciting.
When I think about what are we going to do with it, because like again, the Insight team, they don't exist in isolation, but that informs like the types of decisions that we automate, the types of applications that we create and develop, and the types of jobs that we do.
And how we
So
bring it to market. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So just getting into that, like a few weeks ago, We had Ann Summers Hogg on from the Clayton Christensen Institute to tell us about the jobs to be done framework that Clayton Christensen actually developed and how it applies within healthcare. But Melissa, you've got some on the ground experience using this thing.
Yeah, and no drive lag yet, I don't think. But what I always love like learning things that are newer to me and then thinking about, well, how can I actually leverage them and apply them? So working with one of my amazing founders this week, we used the jobs to be done framework over the last month to start doing a series of interviews with physicians. Now, one of the physicians ghosted me. I would have had like a real life story. They were supposed to meet with me yesterday on Saturday. They ghosted me. I guess I can't blame them from not doing a Saturday at 4:30 Eastern time call. Um, we built a series of interview questions. And Chris, I don't know if I used all of Ann Summers's best practices, but we wrote a series of interview questions for the pediatricians that we were interviewing that were going to help us better understand like how is our product operationalizing in the real world. And we're super excited about it. So, I could give an example maybe of like maybe
We
one
love
of the
that.
questions we were asking, and then you could maybe share some of Ann's tips for us to see if we did it in um, the right way. So for us, for this founder, the
Wait,
first
before
question. Oh, go ahead.
what inspired you using the jobs to be done framework?
It was just synchronicity in the timing of this. So the founder was asking me as an advisor to do this project that was going to be the series of interviews. And I got to make up the questions. And I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Like I just did another whole like context switch. I just had a whole chat with someone on interviewing people around sugary drinks. Why can't I take that same concept of why sugary drinks and apply it to why do physicians make this referral? And so it was super fun. It was great to like put hope, power, and healthcare into action.
That's too cool. What were we trying to discover from these physician conversations?
Yeah, so we had, let's just say we had some physicians that were champions, we had some physicians that were limited referrers, and we had some physicians that like kind of were sitting in the middle. So we wanted to really stratify and understand uh, the likelihood that physicians would make a referral to our startup, what drove that behavior. But even deeper than that, like what were these when we're in the youth mental health arena, just without like, going too deep on the startup, um, what would drive this conversation for a physician to refer out in general? And then when referring, why us? But I didn't want to just ask that, right? I wanted to use the jobs to be done framework just to talk more generally about, like what is the mindset of the clinician when they're making the referral? And then when they're referring to us, also like what triggers that, and just kind of hearing a little bit about that.
That's powerful. That's like getting down to the core of hey guy, why aren't you referring to us? Why aren't you using our tool? Versus what are you actually trying to accomplish? And for the people that are using us, what are they truly using us for? Do we even understand why they're making that decision? Um, can you tell me about some of the learnings from it?
Not yet. We're still data.
Oh,
We're still deep in the data collection. One thing I am learning just on the upfront, like the process side, and I'm sure Alyssa could weigh in this too. Again, even getting the engagement to get people. I mean, it's like a perfect full circle moment, right? We really tried to get this great representative sample, but like there is not a very convenient time to interview people. So we've got like a founder on the ground at a pediatric conference, just getting these sound bites, because one of the biggest barriers for clinician, going back to our episode on clinician burnout, Chris, is just getting the time for them to do administrative type things. Like this is just one more thing to their already overflowing workload. And we run the risk of not getting a representative sample because we can't get to them to answer the questions.
so that's that. I just love hearing that on the ground assessment of how it's working right now. What are some of the questions that are in the docket to help go deeper than just somebody trying to pester somebody on why they're not referring out to their system. This is going to be so huge for people that are trying to drive engagement
Yeah.
along
So, like, I
initiatives.
love this first question. I'll just read one. Can you tell me about the last time you thought about connecting a child or family with a mental health professional? What was happening that made this a priority at the moment? So, we were really trying to get to like that moment of activation. I love that. I love just thinking about that. Like when people decide to do something and they change their timeline, what drives them to do that? Now, I don't know if Ann Summers, you'll have to read me a couple tips from Ann, but like, I don't know if Ann Summers would love all my questions. I should have engaged her for this effort, but we're bootstrapping it.
Well, let's get into a couple more because I already see a theme that Ann Summers shared, which was rather than asking what people are going to do, ask about what they did. So the way that you asked that question was a reflection on something that they had done in the past, and that way you're like if you ask about what people are going to do, it's going to bias the answer towards what they think you want to hear about the future, versus if they're just talking about the past, then you have much more to base it off of. So
Yeah.
you're winning already from it. Let's hear another question.
I was really good at school. Here, I'll give you the second one. And what I loved about my founder is she actually like oriented back to like, so this was her question under define push and pull forces, right? What was frustrating about the situation at the time, and what made you feel that referring to our startup or any mental health partner was the right next step? So she was, anchoring back to that time, right? And then trying to just ask a very open question around, what's happening at the status quo and what attracted you to our solution.
I y'all can't see my face right now, or maybe you can if you're watching on YouTube. But yeah, that's how to do it. That's that. Well, maybe Anne would have a different opinion, but it continues to interrogate, going deeper than like just the initial question. Okay, well, what are the challenges with the status quo at the time that you made that decision?
And
So
if physicians are out there listening and you want to answer those questions so I can pick them up for my research, please feel free to pop it in our Discord.
come on, yeah, come on and join us for that. Yeah, and you can't share the name of the founder, can you?
I didn't ask her explicit permission. It was just like one of those things when we were prepping for today that I was like, oh, I'll ask her. I'll see if she cares, and we'll release it on a next episode. We have so many teasers out there. What am I doing next? What am I working on? Which founder am I with?
I'm just you work with some of the coolest people in the world, and I do know this person to be
She's pretty
one of
cool.
said people. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's pretty cool.
But it's stealth. We're being stealthy
We're
after
being
all.
stealthy because I should have asked permission first. Yeah, bad, Melissa.
Well, I think that's we've got a health equity focus. We've got the future of using healthcare data to predict medical events, and we've got this jobs to be done framework that I think should be the
The gold
glue.
standard. It's the gold
Yes,
standard for interrogating, decision making.
yes, and it's so absent. Like when you talk about these data scientists and others who need this big translation layer for people to even understand what's going on, I feel like if they were exposed to what these jobs to be done are, and what the actual intent of an approach is, then that communication would be a lot different. I feel like I'm annoying sometimes when I have a whole bunch of questions to ask people about projects that I'm working on, but it's so that we can get to that level of context and communication, shared goals. But with that, we've covered such ground here: algorithms for clothing, algorithms for reversing the impact of racism. But let's talk about what's been keeping that fuel all along the way during the jet lag and the drive lag. What's been your pop culture support system?
So I have definitely turned heavily into, I think, music to keep my energy up. Um, for the pop culture, this must just be where my mindset is right now. I am all in on 2020 and Dateline and murders. So, I
Really?
mean, there's nothing to do with healthcare, but that is what is letting me sleep at night. Is a great episode of 2020. Um, yeah, so people, this must be my law background. I was like, people, if you're planning on doing bad, watch these shows because, some people are going for 20 years and now they're getting caught because the data. And so,
So the crime racket just ain't what it used to be.
yeah, yeah, crime does not pay, folks. It just does not pay. Yeah, so yeah, I'm all in on, maybe there's no new shows that are out that I'm really interested in because I have just been like deep in the Dateline, deep in the 2020, and it's always like the mom that's getting murdered right now. I just don't understand. The last two episodes have been the mom and the wife, and there's got to be something in this pattern.
There is. Oh my goodness. Geez. There's a podcast called National Park After Dark, and it's kind of that same vein where it's all like, yeah, I talk about trail running a lot, and trail runners. I think we just like listening to these national park murder mystery stories and things like that.
Because you're
Uh,
imagining getting killed on your runs.
Shay and I, whenever we're like, let's say that we go to Washington State and we're going to go to run the mountains over there. Well, we'll listen to a murder mystery about Washington State. So yeah, I guess we put murder on the mind, and then um, I'm gonna throw out one. This is music. This is music. I don't know if it's gonna if it's acceptable. I can't even say the name of the song, uh, because I don't want to get completely sick. But F My Computer. It's called F My Computer by Nina Geraci, and it's I don't know. I don't know why I'm talking about such a dirty ass song like that, but
Well, I just started with the really fun topic of murder.
murder. And this one is about like the song itself is super hype. Like I'm telling you that the whole album called "I Love My Computer." It like if you need some like really high energy electronic music with like a lot of noise and crazy stuff in there, go and weird out to that one. But F My Computer, that one stands out just because the beat is just so on point. It's crazy, but she's literally talking about like this parasocial and sexual relationship that people are establishing with LLMs to a very
Ah,
danceable beat. Like you could rave to it and everything like that. But it's talking about something that is so relevant to some consumer oriented work that focused on.
I would really find some jobs to be done. Interviews would be really helpful for you and I on selecting what our pop culture moments are. Like we should go deeper on what drives these behaviors, and is it the stress level?
Let's just say that like during the drive lag, like driving back from that 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 album got me through the Ohio to Michigan stretch. So
I love that for you. Well, as always, Chris, you are just the hope and the power in my podcast recording. And, even if I'm in a tired mood, you lift me up at the end. So thank you for being you. I'm grateful for
what
you.
you've been lifting me up this whole time. Y'all were recording this at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Do you know how difficult that was for me? Thank you so much for being the caffeine on this trip, Melissa. Like that, like we got through this dang thing, through all the technical issues and stuff like that. Happy.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm excited for our episodes ahead. We've got some exciting things coming up, and we can share some of our mysteries in future episodes.
Until then, see you later, fan. And just a reminder too, that there's nothing corporate about this podcast with work stuff.
We have gate kept ourselves right out of that.
Yes. Y'all have fun.